It's a yes bank maximum, the first of this contest. Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
Righto, welcome back to the Maximum Cricket Podcast. My name is Munter. This is episode number 46, and I am joined by just Jacko for now, but we should see Lugsy to return for snack draft later on the podcast. Lugsy is currently finding out that Cody Rhodes did not finish his story because Roman Reigns has done it again at WrestleMania. More on that later, because we have a big show for you today. IPL 2023 is here and every team has played one game, so let's overreact. With some really way too early takes. The BLACKCAPS C team is playing in a white ball series with Sri Lanka, just normal Sri Lanka. Australia A are dominating New Zealand A at Lincoln, and the New Zealand domestic season is almost over. We have that, the PYRANHA proposal, and much, much more. But first, Jacko, mate, how are you?
Good, mate. Good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's pretty depressing stuff when daylight savings ends, I must admit.
Yeah, so no daylight savings, no cricket. It sort of all has sort of come together in one. So, yeah, bit of a letdown of a weekend coming off a season high. So,
yes, I had a busy weekend. I had my brother-in-law and his wee fella come down for the weekend. We played a lot of golf, which was nice. And the wee 7-year-old was introduced to the Maximum Cricket TikTok, which at first it sounded good until he binged the shit out of it for a whole night. I think brother-in-law was getting pretty sick of my voice, and then when I seen him the next day, he's come up to me and gone, Uncle Matt, why do you hate man cats? So obviously we played some big hard cricket, and I showed him real quick why we don't like man cats.
And you took 10 for before he'd faced a ball. Just ran him out at the non-striker's end on repeat.
Got to learn, pal.
Yeah.
I actually had to bite my tongue when we played BLACKCAPS because I was about to tell him to back up, and then I was like, maybe that shouldn't be taught anymore.
Yeah, what do you teach? You sort of want to get your momentum, but you can't leave your crease. So
I don't know.
Game's
I
changing.
actually don't know. Game is changing. I guess speaking of that, the IPL, as I said, is here. 5 games. Everyone's had a game. I'll just quickly rattle through those results if you don't know. The opener, the Gujarat Titans took care of the Chennai Super Kings in the opener by 5 wickets. The stars were, of course, Rashid Khan, 2 of 26 off 4. Shubman Gill with a brisk 63 off 36. Only Gaikwad showed anything from Chennai with an impressive 92 off 50. Punjab Kings 11 got past the Kolkata Knight Riders by 7 runs on Duckworth Lewis, with the difference being a very tidy 3-over spell from Ashdeep Singh, 3 for 19. The Lucknow Super Giants demolished the Delhi Capitals by 50 runs after Kyle Mayers replaced a cock in the 11 who is playing for South Africa at the moment. Mayers took apart every left-arm spinner ever bowled with a brutal 73 off 38. This powered Lucknow to 193. Delhi got to 41 off 4 without loss until Mark Wood absolutely destroyed the Capitals with one of the quickest spells you will see. Cleaned up Prickly Shaw, Mitch Marsh, and consecutive balls on his way to 514 off 4. Rajasthan comfortably dispatched Sunrisers by 71 runs after they made 85 in the first 6 overs on their way to 203. The top 3 all made 50s, including Joss Butler making 54 off just 22 rocks. In return, Trent Bolt took 2 poles inside the first 5 balls, and then Chahal cleaned up the rest, taking 4 for 17 off his 4. In the last game of the round, King Kohli's back, baby. RCB destroyed a pretty poor-looking Mumbai on the inside by 8 wickets, chasing 172. Faf, 73 off 43. Kohli made a red anchor, 82 off 49. They put on 148 inside the first 15 overs for the first wicket. Jacko, what tickled your fancy in the opening round?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear-cut for me. I mean, Mark Wood, 5 for 14, bowling absolute thunderbolts. There's nothing better. There's no better sight in cricket. I don't think it matters what the format than a guy bowling just like genuine kick your stumps over pace. Like you see it in Test cricket, one-day cricket, T20s. It's electric and it puts bums on seats. So that stood out for me. I think the partnership we had with Faf and the King is tasty. The Bangalore, they're back. It's our year, as a Warriors fan will say. So, feels like whenever they start well. Everyone thinks is Kohli finally going to get the monkey off his back, and it is looking like he could after one game, obviously. But those two performances stood out. Rajasthan, clinical, probably just a little bit too good, just judging by the scorecard. Trent Bolt, outstanding. Some close-ish games, I should say. Those sort of two performances stood out early.
Good to see Kohli as back for one. I did make the tip that he would be leading run scorer, so that's looking like a pretty good shout so far.
It's looking good.
Yeah, okay, so, as I said, some overreactions. Jacko, I'm going to throw out some round one overreactions. Like I said, if you've got any, do share. Like, I will preface this in saying these are overreactions. I'm telling you they're overreactions, so just calm down. Okay, so look, Jacko, you tell me which are the believable takes and which are the probably outrageous ones, and probably I just need to call my jet sort of thing. Okay, so
all right.
What I've got here is I've got Chino Superkins are done. They're old. They're no good genuine.
No good.
Rashid Khan is the most valuable T20 player in the world, ball and bat together. Shubman Gill is the best all-format bat in the world. It's a tasty one, that one. Arshdeep Singh is pretty close to the perfect T20 bowler you could make. Like, if you build a bowler in the lab with his skills, I don't think it gets much better than him. Virat Kohli is back. He's back in his prime. Tim Southee is an average T20 bowler. Rohit Sharma should not be in the Indian T20 side. And my last one is, if Kane stayed in New Zealand, he wouldn't have done his knee. I've heard that one a lot, actually. That's not even mine.
Yeah. Or if he'd stayed at Sunrisers, he wouldn't have done his knee.
Yeah, better footing, I heard.
Yeah. Bit to unpack there. Chennai being done pretty early to sort of throw that out there, but I like it. Get behind them. Don't get behind them. As you said, they're getting on. Maybe it is time to pull curtains on their careers. But, and then what do we have next? Khan, the most valuable all-round T20 player. I'm going to say yes. I agree with that 100%. I'd almost have him if he was a genuine bunny with the stick. His bowling is just unbelievable. I think, like, the way he does that sort of year in, year out at every tournament under the sun, like, it's not mugs he's playing against. Like, these are the best batters in the world. Like, and that's all he bowls to, sort of on repeat, and he's always the best. So, I'd buy that 100% that he's sort of...
They say, like, his figures were 2 for 24 or 4, whatever. Like, if most people do that, that's like an outrageously good performance.
Yeah. You're like stuck.
You're getting that. If you're not getting that every game...
Yeah, that feels like the norm.
Yeah. And the other thing is, people now, like, there's so much tape on Rashid Khan. You know what you're going to get, and you can't stop it.
And you still can't do anything about it, yeah.
And the ad in his batting at the moment, it's like, he's not a genuine all-rounder, I think that's fair to say, but he just adds so much value in that lower, that finishing role. You add that to the bowling. Like, if we did a draft for all T20 players, he'd be pretty close to number one.
Yeah. He's phenomenal. He'd be, as you said, close to first sort of pick. What was next? Shubman Gill, best batter in the world.
All format.
I mean, the only person you could go close at the moment would maybe be a Kohli, who's just starting to find things. It's probably a fraction. It's probably a fraction early to be making that sort of exact. I'd say he's the most informed batter in the world right now in all formats.
Yeah, it's a fair take. I think, like, you know how in the NBA they do those like random GM surveys, and they go, if you could pick any player,
start your franchise with
Schumacher will be pretty close to the top because when you start factoring the age, 23, 24, Kohli's obviously towards the back end. Bubba's probably in the middle, but it's the youth and the form, and the style. Like it's beautiful to watch.
It's so good. It's so clean. Like everything about it's unbelievable. So I won't say he's the best batter, but he's definitely in the best form in the world right now, for sure.
Arshdeep Singh on paper, perfect T20 bowler. Left arm swings it both ways.
Yeah.
He's tall. He bowls at high 130s. He's got a good Yorker.
Yeah.
He's got multiple slow balls. I think it's going to be the year of Arshdeep.
Yeah. It's a tool set, isn't it? And I think unless you can actually push well into the 150, like above 150, especially in T20 cricket, guys just aren't phased. Like if you've got no skills but bowl 145, you're just going to go the absolute distance. So like I think we saw probably the two extremes now is you've got to have every trick in the book and be Arshdeep, or you've got to have like all the kilometres and be Mark Wood. So I think if you've got the skills as opposed to the pace, you can replicate that more often. So yeah, you probably aren't asking for sort of much more from your perfect bowler. Maybe if he did all that at 160, he'd be the perfect bowler, but I mean that's a serious ask, isn't it? So yeah, it's a great take, and get on the wagon early.
I like that. Get on the wagon early. Another wagon I hitched on pretty early. I mean, to be fair, it's not like Virat Kohli is like a diamond in the rough. Like everyone's pretty aware of how good Virat Kohli is, aren't they? So I think him, but I do think him having an outstanding season.
There's some doubters there.
There's some doubters there, and I think there was a few tea leaves from his international performances that he was starting to come back to form. And just to start red hot against Mumbai at home, it's all you could ever ask for. And I think it's going to be a big year for Kohli. And I watched most of the innings live, and that was pretty close to vintage Kohli, which is all you'd like to see.
That's tasty. What's he on track for? Like 900 runs and no dismissals. So yeah, good player.
Yeah, pretty good. The next one here, this one's a bit controversial, but I've genuinely felt this way for a while, and maybe it's just in these conditions, but Tim Southee is a touch overrated in the T20 circuit.
But I was there at Jade Stadium when he had about 17 Yorkers in a row. So
he was like, well, how old was he then? He used to go to Yorker for fun.
Oh, mate, that was when McCullum scored that 110 and we went to the Super Over.
Did you go with that?
Yeah, I was there in the crowd.
That's unreal.
Unbelievable. That's like unreal. One of the all-time games. But yeah, it felt like he had about 20 Yorkers in a row. So, that's etched in my brain. But yeah, I think...
But cricket's in the scene, too.
Yeah, played a bit. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's like, it feels like you should have the skills, but if it's not gripping and it's not swinging and you're not hitting your Yorker, you're probably going to go at 130.
Yeah, I just think if it doesn't swing, I think his lack of pace hurts. Like, I know, like, there's a big difference, I think, between the high 130s and the high 120s in that format.
Oh, huge!
It's just huge amount of difference, and it's crazy because in the Test game, I've always thought his Test game is like it's his best format because he has so many subtle variations. His slow ball variations he doesn't seem to hit them like other bowlers do, and he doesn't really hit his Yorkers that often. And like I said, he's bowled. Like, it was an overreaction because he took 2 for 54 or 4 and he had a big game. But it's just, when you compare him to like Bolt, who's not contracted, like there's a big difference in T20. Other formats, Test cricket is pretty similar, but in terms of T20, just watching those two bowl the opening round, it is chalk and cheese a bit.
I think that really probably speaks for Bolt as well, to how good he really is. And I think it's probably a discussion for midwinter, but it's like, I think what's getting proven now is Bolt's probably one of the few guys that was good enough to actually say, no, I don't need my NZ contract. I can play in all these leagues. So, but yeah, I mean, Southey's just a wily old veteran now, isn't he? So, 251 game, hoping he bounces back for our sake. But it's an interesting one because I suppose his ability in Test cricket comes with sort of moving the ball and subtle changes at the crease, and that's, as you said, that's a sort of where his skill is elevated and continued to improve. And I don't know if that's sort of where his white ball's at the moment. So he'll probably be 6 for 10 off 4 next week. So
yeah, can't wait for us to come back to that.
Yeah.
So the next one, this will be very controversial, but Rohit Sharma should not be in the T20 side for India. I just think there's so many. There's just, and to be fair, it is an overreaction because he got 1 off 10, which is not
great.
ideal.
1 off 10 is not good.
There's just so many options at the top of the order for India. Like even Kohli's opening the batting now.
Yeah.
Like Gaikwad got that 90 odd for Chennai. He walks into most international teams, if not all of them. Got like Ishan Kishan, KL Rahul, he's going all right. There's just Prickly Shaw. Like there's just so many options. I just think, I don't know. Like it's definitely no reaction because he's the captain, but if he does get dropped, you heard it here first on TNC.
Yeah. I mean, Rohit is probably... I mean, he's finally sort of coming good in Test cricket, but it felt there for a bit. He was the Martin Guptill of India. Just like an elite white ball player. So, yeah, I think that's sort of... You can't forget that. But I agree with what you're saying. It just seems to be this sort of conveyor belt of Indian top order batters who just whack it, but like strike it so clean. And they just all seem... There's always seems to be 2 or 3 of them scoring runs and scoring big runs. So... Yeah, it feels like you could actually just play like whoever scored the most runs in the last 3 games, just pick them, and you could give that top 3 just the hot hand, and they're going to come off and they're going to be successful. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but yeah, probably a little bit. If he gets 1 off 10 ever again, though, gone out your pot.
Yeah, I guess part of me just wants to see the handbrake being taken off India and just unleash all these young kids into international cricket and just let them go and just see what happens.
Yeah,
like
it's similar to the Rashid Khan debate, isn't it? It's like these guys are actually like most of these teams have 2 international superstars with the ball plus 1 or 2 really, really good Indian bowlers. So it's like these runs are almost as good as international runs in terms of form at this sort of level. So. Yeah, they could put out a serious side if they needed to and if they wanted to.
100%. Last one, not my take, but seen it a lot, made me laugh. Well, the injury didn't make me laugh, obviously, but the take did. If Kane didn't go to the IPL and chase that money because he's greedy, this wouldn't have happened. He should be playing for New Zealand because our grounds are better, and that wouldn't have happened.
I didn't actually see it. Did he just land on the corner of the boundary rope?
He jumped up, he took the catch and went to pat it back, and then he kind of landed over the boundary but on one leg, and it just sort of jarred that leg a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, because he's captain of New Zealand, he probably fields it sort of first slip for all 20 overs. Of a T20, so yeah, he wouldn't have been in the field at all for New Zealand, basically. So, yeah, I mean, shit. Is it? Yeah. What a silly take. Like, just, yeah. I mean, yeah, as you said, greedy Kane, knee injury, get what you deserve. But, yeah, obviously, you can't fault him for 6 months of the year, or 6 weeks of the year trying to get some money to sort of bolster and get close to what the other guys are on. Injuries happen everywhere. He could have slipped in the shower. So, definitely a bold take.
It's a bold take. I might put it back on the fans and say, if us fans actually went to some of these games, maybe New Zealand cricket could pay these players more and they wouldn't have to.
Yeah, if we sold out every game.
Every game that's every game. every single game. So, anyways, let's move on to NBA Watch. No, sorry, MVP Watch. NBA style, I will add. Okay, so this is going to be a segment during the IPL that we do every week called MVP Watch. In the NBA right now, the MVP debate is wild right now. We've got Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid being the topic of every sports show in America right now. No surprise as to which horse you were taking in that race there, Jacko.
Yeah. I mean, that is just an absolute clinic from Woodsy. But yeah, I think Stoyne summed it up very well. He said we've got a bloke bowling 160 and a guy hitting at 160 to sort of sum up Myers and Wood there. So yeah, they'd be sort of not long shots early, and they've crept into sort of $8 and $9. But yeah, I think Shubman Gill's got to be $3.50 at the moment, doesn't he? He's right up there, betting favourite.
$3.50, is he?
Yeah, probably three. Like there's a lot of tournament to go.
A lot of tournament. So I've got here a list of other players. So, and then we can narrow down to our list. So
yeah. So
you said Shubman Gill, Kyle Mayers I've got here, but DeCock's going to come back. What does that mean? Mark Wood coming hot. How many games is he going to play? So here's my list. I've got Rashid Khan, Shubman Gill, Arshdeep Singh, Mark Wood, Kyle Mayers, Virat Kohli, Faf du Plessis, Joss Butler, Trent Bolt, and Yuvi Chahal. Who's your money on so far? You taking Shubman?
Yeah, it's I don't know. It'd be very easy to jump on him, but I tell you what, an informed Virat Kohli, that'd be like the Lakers having the 1 seed without Anthony Davis and LeBron just averaging like a triple-double. Like, everyone's going to jump on board, I think.
If there was narrative like there was in the NBA,
yeah,
and we had a resurgent Kohli, it'd be kind of like if LeBron had a down year, like an actual down year, like missed the playoffs, played poorly,
yeah,
and then he's back the next year. I think people jump on that train quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's what's potentially going to happen here. And like Kohli will play every game, Shubman will play every game. So those guys are definite, like probably shorter odds just purely based on that. Butler and Trent Bolt are sneaky ones. But I think you've either got to be a batter with like a great story like Kohli or an all-rounder. So yeah, I'd say I'd have Kohli 1, Gill 2, Rashid Khan at 3, and then maybe Butler 4, Mark Wood 5, Bolt 7, or 6, 7.
Fuck, that's actually pretty close to what I've got it actually. You've actually got the same 5.
Yeah.
I've just got it in a slightly different order. I've got Rashid at 1, Kohli 2, Gill 3, Butler 4, and Mark Wood 5. Mark Wood I think is more like gut feel. I don't know if he'll play every game. Nah. That's what I think. We should preface this in saying that when we judge MVP, it is stats based, but winning matters.
Yeah.
So you've got to be, your team has to be winning, and for you to be valuable. If you're last place and you're scoring and you're averaging 50, you can't be that value if you don't win a game, sort of thing. Yeah. So I think immediately off the bat we've got Gujarat Titans are going to look good, Lucknow look good, RCB and Rajasthan, they look like your early favourites, and that reflects the MVP standards.
100%.
Our BLACKCAPS Watch, which is the other end of the spectrum. To be fair, not great viewing. So obviously we touched on the Kane injury for Gujarat. Devon Conway 1 off 6 in the opening game, not ideal. Got castled. Mitchell Santner, which we'll get to, 1 not out of 3. I think he bowled 4 overs for 30 odd, no wickets. Not great. Tim Southey 254 off 4, not great. Glenn Phillips 8 off 6, and Trent Bolt 221 off 4. And this is a strange one because it's like Michael Blaisdell just 1 for 16 off 2, but he got 100 in the practice game. So I didn't see any of it, but fuck, it must have been good.
Oh, my lord. It must have been unbelievable. For him to... I mean, those inter-squad games, like, you could chuck them on TV here and they would be, like, just as good a watch as sort of quite a lot of other sort of games of domestic cricket and stuff we watch here. So, yeah, that would have been a great watch. But, overall, not a great start for the brand. I think we had Conway as an early dark horse MVP favourite with the keys to the top. And not ideal, but I think a lot of tournament to go. A lot of time for these guys to sort of embed themselves in, and hopefully the sort of tone at the top doesn't change quickly and they are sort of binned off, because it would be nice to see our Kiwi boys get an extended run. So, yeah, I think all the guys playing are good enough to be there. It's just the nature of T20 cricket. But, yeah, to see them all sort of fail first round is a bit niggly, but I don't think that'll last for too much longer, hopefully.
It is ironic that it's Trent Boult, the only one that did well, and he's not getting picked for other reasons, which is, ironic in a way. Should we move on to the Pirana proposal around Mitchell Santner?
Yeah.
Righto. Pirana socks, non-slip grip technology designed to minimise slipping in your shoe and maximise output. Designed and tested right here in New Zealand by professional athletes. The choice of sock for several black caps and white ferns, as well as the number one women's bowler in the world, Sophie Eccleston. Performance, quality and style. I'll tell you who has two of those qualities because he's not getting a chance to perform. It's Mitchell Santner, who our Pirana proposal is centred around today. Grab yourself a pair of Pirana's latest range by using the code TMC20 to get 20% off today. Jacko, look, we touched on it earlier. Santner being at 9 and being on the same team as Moeen Ali and even worse Jadeja just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think he's too good a player to be on a side like that. He's got too much value for New Zealand. He's our premier spinner. He bats 7 or 8. I'd like to see him get a go on another team. So I'm just going to propose a wee trade, and then you tell me. We'll discuss who, would they accept the trade, and if so, who has to add picks to this trade. Okay, so the team I'm looking at are Sunrisers Hyderabad.
Okay.
Who right off the bat, they do not have a left-arm spinner. They also conceded 200 against Rajasthan, so they need an option. In this game, Adil Rashid, leg spinner, bowled 4 overs, none for 33, and he batted 8. You could argue Rashid is a better spinner than Santner, but I don't think anyone's going to argue he's a better batter and therefore better all-rounder than Rashid, than Santner. So I'll also add that Sunrise only got 131, so they could use some extra batting.
Yeah.
And in return, Chennai, what Rashid gives them is another sort of different spin option. They have the right arm off spin of Moeen, probably the best left arm spinner in the comp in Jadeja. They don't need Mitchell Santner, so why not add a wrist spinner to the equation? One of the best wrist spinners in the world, Rashid. You don't lose any batting because you have him at 9 anyways. Jacko, what are your thoughts on that trade? Do you think that helps both teams and both players? And if so, who adds picks?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of an even trade, I think that's as close as you'll get to sort of player for player. That's a bloody good one, to be honest with you, because I think, as you said, you're never picking Santner's never going to get the role Jadeja gets, is he? Like, he's always going to have, like, Jadeja's going to get the first pick of overs. Moeen's always going to play and get a few. So, like, he's probably not getting his 4 spin overs in. And then, as you said, Adil Rashid gives him a different spinning option. And, it gives Hyderabad that left armour. I think left arm orthodox bowling is so key because it's, like, turns away but can be, like, is less erratic. So it's just, like, almost becomes, you need a leg spinner and a left arm ortho. I think off spin is probably the last on your list of spinners. So, Chennai get to basically add their best spinner, another spinner in terms of a different option, and Hyderabad get their containing but also like effective spinner. So I don't know if teams need to add picks. I'd almost but maybe Chennai throw something in just to get a.
Depends how good you think Rashid is.
I think it could. I think it could be straight up. I definitely think it could be straight up. To be fair.
Nice. Call into the league. Stephen, friend of the show, of course, you'll be listening. Make that trade, and yes, I can work for you if you like. Righto, should we move on to a bit of Kiwis action, bit of caps, Lanka. Sri Lanka's still on our shores, playing a pretty watered-down BLACKCAPS side and some 3-1 bars, 3 T20s. New Zealand won the ODI pretty comfortably 2-0, but Sri Lanka won the first T20 in a super over after Ish Sodhi hit a 6 off the last ball in the game to send it to a super over. Jacko, before we dive into the series and some other stuff, I just want to list the dismissals. I don't know if you've seen this, but these are the dismissals from the Sri Lankan innings of the third ODI, and I want you to tell me what they all have in common.
I've seen this.
Have you seen it? Okay, well, I'm going to list it anyway, just to get the juices flowing.
Yeah.
Okay, first wicket, run out Nichols and Sodhi. Second wicket, bowled Henry, caught Nichols. Third wicket, bowled Henry, caught Mitchell. Fourth wicket, bowled Shipley, caught Mitchell. Next wicket, bowled Mitchell, caught Shipley. Next wicket, bowled Mitchell, caught Henry. Next wicket, bowled Shipley, caught Henry. Next wicket, bowled Henry, caught Latham. Bowled Mitchell, caught Latham, and bowled Shipley. 2 questions. What have they all got in common? And secondly, is this like a wet dream of yours?
Yeah. Red or black, baby. No, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, to be fair. Like, it just sort of snuck under the radar, and I saw something the other day saying, like, have the Canterbury BLACKCAPS done a number on Sri Lanka? And I didn't actually realise until you just read it out that, like, all the catches were, like, every single wicket was purely Canterbury players. So, yeah, great for the brand. Probably explains why I've never played, if that's sort of what I'm dealing with in the squad. So, no. Yeah, I wonder if that's ever happened before. That's, phenomenal. But
it's not helping the rumours of it, Canterbury bias in the team squads, though, is it?
Well, getting the job done.
Yeah, there's a bit of, because obviously there's these squads that are coming out. There's a bit of licorice all sorts with the squads, because we've got players in the IPL. We've got a series against Sri Lanka. We've got Plunkett Shield. We've got Ford Trophy. We've got New Zealand A versus Australia A. There's players everywhere.
Cricket season's over, but it feels like we couldn't be playing more cricket.
Yeah, so it's a strange squad for the T20 side that's playing in Sri Lanka and travelling to Pakistan. Tom Latham coming back into the T20 fold, which I do rate. Although, I do rate. I do wonder why he hasn't been in the side for a while. But any players that didn't make it that you were concerned about there, Jacko?
Obviously, sort of timing can come down to a lot of things. There's probably one guy who seems to be absolutely whacking it in domestic cricket and sort of can't seem to play any of these, which would be that Josh Clarkson from CD. And bowling some very handy overs in the middle too. Just a big timber that's whacking it and bowls heavy through the middle. So, but I can also see that's probably the last 6 months is the first time he's come on real good. I know I think he's been injured a little bit and hasn't bowled heaps in previous years. So there might just be a little bit of sort of caution there. As we've seen, sort of Pakistan, tough place to tour and start up. So, they seem to sort of have their not the B squad, we'll call it. I mean, they're still playing for New Zealand, but they seem to have the sort of next crop circled out at the moment, and they seem to just, while the main Black Caps are away, they seem to be sort of giving them a little bit of a leash over this last sort of 6 to 18 month period, which, I mean, is a good thing. It's good to see these guys probably have a little bit more faith. It'd be tough. I mean, it's probably tough adjusting to the international game, especially with the fear of failing in one series and you're never a Black Cap again. So, not nice to see them get a leash, but there's a few guys that you wouldn't mind seeing there, but I think they'll get a crack eventually. But yeah, I don't mind the model of proving your stripes for a little bit longer in domestic cricket. I think that's where New Zealand's can go wrong in the past, is sort of trying to get guys in a bit too early. So yeah, I don't hate giving guys a little bit more of a run and making sure they've had that sort of extended success. But yeah, that's probably where the series are looking at the moment, is just having a look at the next sort of 2 World Cup cycles. This could be the core of the squad, and seeing how they'll go in international cricket for a bit.
There's a couple of things that I wouldn't mind having a look at. The one thing for me is a guy is watching Ravindra and how they use him. Now he's predominantly an opener for Wellington. Scored little runs at the top for the 50 overs and the T20 stuff, and they're using him as like a finisher role. And instead, you've got Chad Bowes and Tim Stofford opening the batting in T20s. Yeah, you could probably like Chad Bowes. He's probably earned that over the last couple of years. The Stofford one, just for me, doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just, he hasn't really done well domestically lately, and he's a relatively old player. So you kind of know what you've got with him, and you can almost, like, I don't want to say these games don't matter, but they don't matter. Like, I would rather just go, Rashid Ravindra is the future of the side. If he's going to be in the team, just open him and just let him face as many balls as possible. It feels like every ball he faces, he'll be closer to the finished product, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
they're kind of half-assing, this series doesn't matter, but it does matter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's like, like, in the grand scheme of things, a bilateral T20 series in April in New Zealand doesn't matter. But if Rachin or whoever your guy is in 3 years' time, if he gets, like, you don't get heaps of international games, and if you get, like, an extra series opening the batting is, like, massive reps and consider it. Like, if you consider that as a World Cup pool stage, that's a third of the pool games you might play at a World Cup. So that's like a massive amount of games, essentially. So, if you're saying you've played a third of a World Cup and you get to do that in a week span at home, opening the batting against international players, like, it's a massive, massive chance and a massive learning opportunity that, as you said, it can just accelerate. Like, it's right, we'll show him the game and we'll let him whack it a bit with no fear at 7. But, fuck, mate, if you let him open and if he faces 40 balls and just starts to figure it out against international players, who knows what the ceiling is there.
I mean, I just think that, like, in 5 years' time, he's not going to be batting at 7. Or in 2 years' time, he's not going to bat at 7. He's going to open, he's going to bat top order. Just let him do it now. The other, you touched on Clarkson. Well, it would be nice to see him have a crack, just because he's got that power that I don't think a lot of players have. Like, I understand the argument for letting them earn their stripes, and I get that, and it's probably a good model, and it served us well. But just when something comes along with the ball striking ability, you kind of just want to see it while it's hot, and he is hot right now. He's got the 104 trophy final. He's been red hot in Super Smash. Him and Tom Bruce, actually, another one who I don't know. I'm not too sure if they see him as more of a test option, and that's why he's playing NZAs. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Because that's the strange one. It's a strange one when that's going on at the same time. You don't know if it's whether they've, like, segregated the players.
Yeah, like what? Like, it's a pretty big series to basically have Aussie to go, these are our next generation of guys. Like, these are who we think will win the next Ashes in Aussie. To bring them sort of here and play with the Dukes here. So it's tough. Yeah, Jesus Christ, we're getting tuned up. I watched Renshaw and is it Wiley who's batting at 3?
No, Wiley opened. He's the young pup.
What? Yeah, Teague or something. I don't know. They couldn't have looked more comfy. Jeez, they looked good. But I
see that punt. I saw today. Renshaw made another 78.
Oh yeah. It seems like a mix of like, these are who we sort of want to be test guys, and these are who we want to be white ball guys, and then we'll sort of filter some stuff around them. So if you ask Tom Bruce, would you rather wear the fern or sort of play an NZA red ball game? I know which one he'd probably choose. So it's tough to sort of segregate these sort of games at this time, but. Yeah, I would have liked to see him have another crack in white ball cricket, because I think that is probably his best format, and he can certainly whack it. So,
well, you look at this. It's interesting to touch on the NZA game, because it's quite fascinating in a way, because you look at our attack that's being dismantled, and it's really close to a test bowling lineup. You know, like you got Kugarai, Duffy, Doug Bristol, Ajaz Patel.
That could have very easily been the bowling lineup for Wellington. Like, if Southey was two guys are injured, that's the attack in Wellington.
That's not far away, and ironically, it's probably Kugarai that looked the best, or just had that little bit more X factor. You watched it more of it than I did, Jacko. What did it actually? Was it moving around a lot? Were they was Australia just really good, or because they cleaned us up pretty good?
Yeah, it just seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed like they had a bit more zip about everything. Like, they just seemed to have a bit more zip with the ball.
Yep.
They were sort of getting it to talk a little bit more, getting it to swing a bit more. Yeah, I don't know, just Kugarai, his first spell on day 1, like, I know you sort of messaged and said he looked like he was bowling the worst, but he was bowling quick, I thought. And it looked like it was coming through and doing a bit, and then it sort of just flattened out. And I think the Burt is pretty fucking flat. And I think Aussie know how to play cricket on flat wickets, probably arguably better than we do. But yeah, it's tough. Obviously Renshaw's I'd say he's a well-established Australian cricketer. Like, he's played a few tests and stuff, so big challenge for some guys. But yeah, the attack we had, we're maybe hoping for a bit more, especially in our conditions with Duke balls, but good to be gracious hosts, and hopefully they come back.
Righto, welcome back, Lugsy, for the snack draft. A real shame Cody couldn't finish the story this time, or you read him to death.
Yeah, no, just coming fresh off the WrestleMania main event, mate, but bit disappointing. Did want to see Cody win. I was sort of thinking of how this all relates back to cricket, because it is a cricket podcast after all, and I was thinking, looking towards that World Cup, imagine if Kohli came out now and said, like, I'm retiring, the World Cup will be my final show, and the media really got on this, and they started telling the story, and everyone sort of got on board with it, that we're all going to support Kohli to win this World Cup. And the World Cup final came, India's there, Kohli's out there in the middle, 4 runs needed off the last ball, Hazelwood cleans him out. Aussie won.
It'd be kind of similar if Kohli had that same build-up and then he lost the final like New Zealand lost in 2019.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happened, like an unfair way, like distractions and all sorts. But
the scary thing is, though, they could have got Cody to win this one.
Yeah, they could have written that.
They could have just allowed him to win things.
It was actually their choice. Yeah. Okay, right. So we move on to snack break. So obviously, last week we had, I think, the closest snack draft result as Lugsy came out on top by a single vote. Now, I'd be lying if the no avocado thing doesn't hurt a lot more now, having seen how close I was to my first W, finishing my story. But Lugsy, you've done the game. You have the floor. Another win.
Yeah, look, it was a close run thing, and I was sitting on that wee Google image of that avocado spread just to send you once we were done recording. Didn't want to fire that through during, but yeah, good one with the spreads, and I'm just going with my heart on these ones, and I could easily go on a 10-match losing streak at some point because I've got some rogue sort of food choices in my arsenal, so I've got to enjoy it while the fans are with me.
So this week we're going to do food and drink duos, which was largely inspired by a friend of the show, Fraser Cameron, and his wife-to-be, Zoe, who was hot on the peanut butter and jelly being an all-time combo, and it's hard to disagree. So this week, there's not a lot of rules. We're going rogue. Food and drink combos, and because we want a bit of creativity.
Yeah. So it's not like a food and a drink going. It's like duos, isn't it? Like any pairing.
It doesn't have to be a food and a drink.
No. So it's like so it can be so it can be two foods, a food and a drink, two drinks, whatever. Okay, I think that's fair.
And I think it doesn't have to be like known combos. It can just be combo you rate. I mean, others might not. Like me personally, like sushi and a Coke is an unbelievable duo together. I'm not using that as, necessarily going to go one, but that to me is like an all-time combo.
Lugsy's just drafts like just 3 foods and a Coke. Just
Just 3 favourite foods with a Coke on the side.
Right. You won't go wrong.
It's a hashi peanut satay with a Coke on the side at one.
It's just happened, actually. That's just gone down mere an hour ago.
Should we run the draft in? Or the lobby, I should say.
Yeah.
So again, Jacko, he has 50% odds. Myself, I've got 33 odds. And Lugsy with your 17 odds. Okay, so spinning again. Lugsy's been very good at winning somehow.
Come on.
Good, Jacko.
Yeah.
Jacko. Tell me, it's been a long time coming, eh?
It's actually a tough first pick, this one.
It is, because it's not like drafting Coke, is it? Where it's the B end, isn't it?
I think there's a wee number one just quietly.
Yeah, potentially. Okay, so the next one, so picking number 2, spinning the wheel.
Go on. Yes.
Wow.
2.
Lugsy with the second pick. I've got the third pick. Jacko, you have any pick you want.
Any combo.
You have the floor.
It's a tough one, and I think whatever I don't take here, Crom's probably going to take.
No, I honestly don't know, man. I can go pretty rogue here.
I've sort of got 3 like real, like sort of standard duos I could go for. But yeah, I'll go with the listeners. I'll go with what is just an all-time sort of classic duo. If you're talking duo sandwiches, it's a cult figure. I think the peanut butter and jelly sandwich is very, very hard to go against.
That's listening to the people right there. That's what that is. Right, Lugsy, did that take your pick, or are you happy days?
Didn't take my pick. I've thought about this for a while, and I was enjoying these on Wednesday night, and I thought this is going to have to be my number one. I don't think it's possible to sit at home, get a movie on, / especially get a game of sport on, and not go the Kiwi classic chip and dip.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah, that was definitely on my list. It's a good start.
The only issue with dip is it's dangerously easy to overeat on and feel quite sick. But, at its peak, when you first rip in, it's number one for me, I think.
It's pretty good.
Very Moorish, isn't it? You can just sort of nut a whole thing very quickly.
Yeah, not great stats on the chip and dip, I have to say.
Especially when you're running low on chips, but you've got heaps of dip left, and you just haven't, you're just loading it in.
That's when dip on toast rears its ugly head.
Outstanding. Okay, so that leaves me with a pretty relatively full board. There's actually quite a few options. I'm going a real veteran of the league. Someone that's been around a long time as a duo, they're like Jordan Pippen. They're synonymous with each other. Like I said, been around a long time. It's a Kiwi favourite. I'm going fish and chips.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, that was on the board.
That was on my list. It's a good pick.
Yeah, it's a great pick at 3, I think. Very good as well.
That's good value there. So next one, immediately, there's one of the ones I thought for duos. Like, I've got my dinner, potentially lunch option. I'm going to move to another meal of the day.
Okay.
Probably an all-time breakfast combo and relatively easy to cook. I'm going bacon and eggs.
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah.
I nearly took it one.
Yeah, that's pretty close to one.
Bacon and eggs is so, like,
it's just
does
so...
anything work better together?
You can have it on toast. You can make yourself bacon butter. You can scramble your eggs. You can
omelette with bacon.
Omelette with bacon. There's so many options. Very versatile player, this.
I was never going to take it because it doesn't hit me quite the same. I can't do bacon eggs in the morning, but that was on the board in terms of I just think that's going to be a heavy hitter. I think you've probably got two of the biggest fan favourites here, really.
Two great meals.
Yeah,
which are allowed this week.
Yeah, this is where Munter really tries.
Have you not tried the bacon and egg sauce?
I haven't had the fish and chip spread either.
It'd just be covered in oil, that sauce. I'm up here, am I?
Yeah.
This is hard for me because there's one drink I really do want, and it's obviously not the one that's probably I'm gonna have to take, but I just don't think I can let this slip any further. I think as a Coke drinker of some repute, I've got to take Coke and raspberry. Yeah. It's the original classic.
There's no way it wasn't. There's no way it was going to fall. Like, you couldn't let that slip any further.
No, that's the thing. And like, if we're talking pure drinks, that's number one. So I think it's got to be taken.
Yeah.
Nothing better than Coke and Ras at the pub with your fish and chips.
Yeah.
Just a really good meal at a pub.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the great duos. I'm going to have to go here to another sort of staple, sort of taking from that American tradition a wee bit, but one of the all-time comfort foods, I reckon. Always just fizz deluxe whenever grandma would have it, sort of ready as a meal. And it's mac and cheese.
Yeah, I thought someone would take it.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't have that. That's a good one. I missed on that one.
Just I don't know, it just feels like everyone's sort of grandma or someone made a great version of mac and cheese, and it just always hit the spot. You get always 2 plates minimum, and yeah, just one of the great duos. This is gonna be a rogue third pick, but something I was just massive on as a younger kid.
Oh, it's not going to be the pick I thought then.
And this is going. You've got your movie ticket, you've got yourself a popcorn, and you've got a choc top, and then you eat the top. You have you dip your popcorn into the ice cream, your ice cream into the popcorn, and if you haven't tried it, don't knock it because it is an unbelievable duo.
What's your actual pick?
Can you just sort of specify what that duo is?
Oh, a choc top and popcorn at the movies. Have you never had that?
I'll tell you what. Do you know what's unbelievable about that? I mean, it is. Yeah, people rate it.
I'm huge.
You know, in any other setting but a movie theater, how fucking weird you'd look. Dipping choc top into popcorn.
Oh yeah, one of the weirder combos. But I'll shoot from the stars to get off the bottom here.
Yeah. How does that just become acceptable if you're in Hoyts? That's outrageous.
Yeah, it goes from being, as you said, very weird everywhere else to one of the all-time combos.
Back to you, Lugsy, for your final pick.
Yeah. Is it just you after me?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll throw out an honourable mention at the end there, but yeah, I was going to go another drink, but I want a nice round group. And I think with this still on the board, it's just one of the all-time sides of the fast food world. KFC's potential biggest secret or biggest dog to go off every meal. That will be your potato, your gravy.
Yeah, it's a great pick, actually.
That's a very good 3-man attack you've got there.
Thanks, mate.
That's
Bit of a right.
That's pretty close to Stark Cummins Hazelwood there. This is a little controversial, I think, which is where your third picks. Like, I just feel like when you get your third pick, you're always shooting from the hip a wee bit. So I just think that in terms of value that this duo brings, it really sets the table for a lot of options. You can't, without these two, there's no toast. Without these two, there's no sandwiches. And I'm going to go bread and margarine.
Yeah, bread and butter.
The bread and butter. They've been together for years. Absolute years.
That's one of the. I mean, yeah, bread and butter sounds a lot better than toasted margarine, by the way.
Yeah, maybe I'll change the wording to
no, you've got to have that up as toasted margarine. Thanks, that's what you fucking picked.
I've never heard that old saying. That's a guy's toasted margarine. I haven't.
Don't bother there. That's just toasted margarine.
Clip that up again.
Not a snack draft. TMC's toasted margarine.
Bread and butter does sound like better, doesn't it?
I mean, we've helped you out there greatly, I reckon.
Massively. Have we got time for honourable mentions? There's probably a few.
Definitely a few. So probably I had like cookies and milk.
Oh, bro, that's on the board.
Yeah, just I probably should have gone it like a lot more. But that's a great combo. Tortilla chips and guac.
Yeah.
Ooh,
or salsa.
Or salsa, like a it's probably too close to chips and dip, but different enough to be a great option. I had banana and peanut butter.
Great combo.
One of the greats. But I didn't want to double up on peanut butter. Chicken and waffles.
Yeah.
Fried chicken and waffles, great meal. And
I actually had chicken and rice.
Yeah.
I was saying that before. I was like, do I just go a real good clean chicken and rice?
Yeah, just a teriyaki on rice. Beautiful. And then just chocolate and peanut butter as well.
I love peanut butter.
Peanut butter goes pretty good with a lot of things.
Peanut butter. Yeah. Anything.
And I did have a rogue one of like a wee chocolate thin with roasted marshmallows, like a wee s'more option.
Oh, Jacko's got 96 options here on the board.
It's like a source dip.
Mate, it's why my last pick's always a milk, because I've got about 17 to choose from.
I can't believe you named about 7 better picks than your third one.
Yeah, I'm shot from the hip, mate.
All right, toasted margarine.
Producer Gav, don't let the graphic be bread and butter.
I've only got two honourable mentions now because we've named them all. Hot dog sauce.
Yeah, that's a good sauce. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I'm talking from the rugby or from the footy or something like that. Yeah. My rogue one was just going to be, and I really wanted it there. If I didn't get Coke and Raz, I would have thrown it as, and that's vodka Red Bull. That was going in.
That's a good one. That's a genuinely good one. That should have been
great.
That's undrafted.
I know. I was thinking. Because I had Coke, I had to go another food, but I would have chucked. Yeah, well, I know I did it. I've got just one here from friend of the show, Hayden Toomer, who's gone with sex in a dart. I don't know if that was going to slip in, but
yeah.
I think if it was it's a different league altogether. I think if you change sex to like a monster, that would be actually would be quite good.
Starting a blue V tradie breakfast.
Let's move to a different demographic. I've got here milk and coffee. Just a really good staple of any morning diet. And cheese and cracker.
Yeah.
Oh, cheese and crackers.
That's actually a huge mess, cheese and crackers.
Yeah, just a real good entree staple there. Good with spread. So
I did. My only last one was steak and cheese for a pie filling, but Didn't think it was
that's
quite a duo
Steak and
because it's in a
pretty
steak, but
iconic.
It's not bad.
in a pie.
Not
But
bad. Don't mind it. Don't mind it. Righto, that is us for another week. Thank you to Piranha. Thank you to Lugsy and Jacko. Thank you to our listeners. I have noticed on the analytics that more of the public are listening right through to the end, so we must be doing something right. If you do enjoy what we do, give us a 5-star on Spotify or a 5-star on Apple. Check out Patreon also. And lastly, thank you to Sammy and Kevin Owens for giving us one of the most emotional innings to a WrestleMania I can remember. We'll catch you next week.
thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.